The police pension probe, the pension reform scheme going on in the country at the moment. But to cut to the chase, when the Joint Senate Committee on Establishment began that probe, remember they had summoned the chairman of the pension reform task force team, Alhaji Abdul-Rashid Maina. He didn't appear initially, but subsequently he showed up. And then there was this period where he submitted a 32-man list saying, using that famous or infamous word, cabal, that they were doing this and that. Eventually that was submitted, and this is what happened when he did. Okay, well, after he submitted that, subsequently, and then there was a response. Then you had the Mr. Toyin Shola, Assistant Chief Accountant, Police Pension Office, came on the scene and categorically debunked all that he had said. That's Abdul-Rashid Maina. And then he went on to expose what he termed a can of worms, who had spent what he did in 3 months, how 100 million naira was also awarded as profits from a fixed deposit account. But we'll get to all of this report. But we're joined this morning by Ivie Richard, who is of the Corruption Observatory. You have been observing what's going on. Morning, first and foremost, and thank you for coming on. But it's not exactly anything pleasant where anyone observes. But we'll bring these two reports for those who might have missed it so that they can understand it. Take a look.
Murmurs of disapproval filled the hall as the chairman of the Pensions Recovery Task Team opened a lid to the rot in the pension administration in the country. He detailed the fraud the team discovered after it was set up in June 2010 by former head of service Steve Oronsaye. He said the staff of the pension department of the Office of the Head of Service used the accounts of primary school teachers and the National Union of Pensioners to siphon pension funds.
The benefits that we have seen, or the files that we have seen, we realize that these files have been paid 3 times over. They were paid to the same staff of that office. These are dead people and their children are there crying, and then they will take these funds and pay the death case, and then they will go and convert the file back to life.
He, however, claimed that the Pensions Task Force has been under attack from a cabal made up of 32 people who engage in siphoning pension.
We know we've been under attack by this cabal.
Sorry.
This cabal,
Chairman.
I'm trying to explain.
Sorry.
I'm trying to explain.
Chairman, you have to, if you say cabal,
yes,
you will name the cabal.
Yes, I have given you their names.
Okay.
I have given you their names right there.
No, Mr. Chairman.
You've not given them. Listen, Chairman. You've not given us their names. Cabal.
Yes.
Is the one you have to mention the names.
Yes, I've given you.
The 32 names are different. The cabal is a different group. So unless you say the 32 names are members of the cabal.
Of course.
No, not of course.
The revelations prompted an emotional outburst from a member of a Senate committee.
Please, let us stop all this nonsense. I'm fed up of this country, honestly. Please confirm again, because we have power to arrest some people here.
Members of the committee then sought to know the whereabouts of the recovered pension funds, which he said is in the tune of 151.6 billion naira and £6 million, excluding recovered properties.
There are funds that are in banks that are not under prosecution. So those in court, you cannot take it and put it back into treasury, because until those cases are disposed of, you can't take those funds. But the ones that are idle, they are with the Minister of Finance. In fact, she said it is on record that she has returned.
Which record? Which of the records?
It is on the papers everywhere. It is there.
The committee directed the chairman of the task team to supply it with a comprehensive list of the pensioners who have been paid and the amount so far disbursed. Linda Kigbe, Channels Television News.
When last did you see Mr. Maina? When last did you see him? Yesterday. Did you see him today?
I've seen him this morning.
Yes, this morning.
Yes, I saw him this morning.
How was he?
He's recuperating.
Yeah. Where did you see him? Where?
Yeah, I saw him in his house.
In his house?
Yes.
For the legal advisor of the Pension Task Force, it is indeed a black day. It says that the chairman of the task force is ill. High blood pressure, it says. The panelists would have none of these. A bench warrant is issued for the chairman, Mr. Maina Abdul Rashid.
Okay, Mr. Maina.
And somehow, the ill chairman makes an appearance.
Come over here. Okay, Mr. Maina, you're welcome. Okay. You remember you're on oath?
From my oath.
Okay.
With the health issues sorted out, it's on now to issues at stake. How, for instance, does the chairman justify spending 250 million naira on a trip to UK to look for 20 pensioners for biometric verification?
Okay, let me explain this out. Those that travel overseas, there is no member of the task force, number one. Let me clear this.
We are not asking member of task force, please. The task force financed the trip, right?
No. This police pension, why are you saying no? Police pension, it is a police pension office. How can you, this is the accountant of the police pension office.
That is the police pension fund.
Yes.
The funds and the traveling was approved by the task team.
Yes.
What are you saying?
What you said? No, I thought you said because we don't have an. What I'm saying is
now, Chairman. What was the position of Mr. Lamode when you decided to select him to go abroad?
Not select him.
Or choose him?
Not select, choose him.
Or to nominate?
No. A letter.
What did you do? What did you do?
No. What was Mr. Lamode's position in EFCC at that time?
Excuse me, sir.
Answer my question. What was Mr. Lamode's position at that time in EFCC?
Director of Operations.
How then, in your own judgment and opinion, will you take him off his job, Director of Operations, the next person to the chairman and chief executive, to go and do data capturing?
Yes, because the chairman
in Atlanta, Georgia.
Because the chairman nominated his name, and his name is on the letter from
which chairman?
The then chairman of EFCC nominated names and gave us. We have the letter.
Well, there you have some dramatic scenes as it does play out there. I've heard those describe it falling short of some Nollywood blockbuster. But then, Mr. Richard, you've been seeing what's going on. We're talking about serious funds here in billions. And this is what we see going on.
Well, the sums of money involved here is actually mind-boggling. It's something that you look at and you say, wow, is this happening in my country? But what is most disturbing is the fact that this is a task force that was put in place to right some perceived wrongs in the system. One will expect that even if there were going to be some kind of fast deals and all that, it should be things that you can overlook. With this kind of thing, you see, I couldn't carry everything in my head, so I had to make notes. And the sums are so numerous. You had about 48 billion missing. You traced it to 2 banks in Lagos. You brought 21 back to Abuja. You put them in 3 different accounts. One of the accounts was an account belonging to your younger brother, confirmed. The people in the pension office went there to try to change the signature. You refused. Chamberlain, what do you think I would say about all this? I just think that the value system in the public service is being spoiled over time. And there is nothing that any coercive tool like the EFCC, the ICPC, the CCB can do about all this. It's going to take a deliberate, conscious effort to reorientate the value system of the public servant in Nigeria.
Because when you hear some of those, the seeming impunity, blatantly how they went about it, and it's just kind of shocking. And then the documentation. Remember when the chairman of the task force was said to have taken ill, and then much later he shows up, and then some documents were tendered, which cannot even be. All of this just leaves a whole lot of questions unanswered, and then, I mean, just as you said, it was set up to right some wrongs.
Yeah.
So how are they even going to go about beginning to solve all of this? Because you can't talk about setting up another committee to right this wrong.
You see, I would like to look at to provide solution to problems like this.
Yeah.
Because if we begin to go back, look at the monies and all that, it really won't get us anywhere. One thing I think should be done is to properly run programs on conflict of interest management, whistleblowing management in the civil service. In fact, let me tell you. No, you see, these programs are programs that will over time reorientate the value system of the average, civil servant. And again, they also have to be put on a living wage. You see, a director who joins the civil service at the age of, say, 20, 25, 30, okay, so say 30, for instance, leaves the service at about, say, 68, 69, should at least have a car, have a house, those old values that used to be there. So if you're going to retire, and here you are panicking that, look, you're just going back to square one where you started. Tell me the kind of angel that lives in you that will make you not to prefer government fund.
If that were to be the case,
wouldn't
it be a one-off? Because, I mean, these are people who hold files, documents of politicians, show them the ropes when they come in. So if they feel that they have a dossier, as it were, on some of these politicians who, quote and unquote, may go off course, wouldn't that galvanize them to say, well, if I've got your dossier and I do my wrong, who are you? On what moral high ground would you stand to correct me if you can't hear yourself?
It doesn't work like that. What we've seen so far, and it will not work like that. If you watch what's going on, you will just find out that a director is mentioned. No permanent secretary has been mentioned yet, as far as this story, is concerned. You know why that is so? Why? The salary of the permanent secretary is about 1.3 million a month. The director that works directly under him is about 180,000. You can look at the disparity. But the permanent secretary really does not know what happened. He's the accounting officer. But he does not really know what happens right in the depth of the service, because all he or she does is minute the paper down the line until it gets to a desk officer. So it's the director at the end of the day that controls what happens. A lot of things can go wrong without the PAMSEC knowing. It's just that when you bring the paper to him or her to approve, she begins to look at and ask questions and say, please speak, or things like this. At the end of the day, if he or she has a handful and you're able to coerce him or her, it just write approved, and that's the end of it. But one other thing I also look at is, I tend to look at the way this program is run in the private sector. In the private sector, from the day you are employed, some of them, all right, there's no pool of pension fund anywhere. From the day you are employed, your salary, because these monies are deductions from your monthly pay. So when they deduct, they just open an account for you somewhere, for the pension fund managers, IBTC and all that, these people. They open an account for you, and the money, the moment it's deducted, goes straight to your own account. And then the managers liaise with you. They write to you, look, as also month you have this. Maybe I think what they don't do is try to tell you how they are going, because they invest the money, it grows, and what grows out of it, you also get out of the profit. So you find out that it was so difficult for the managing director of First Bank to go to steal the pension fund of First Bank staff. It's not going to happen. But in the government sector, in the public sector, they deduct the money from you, they put it in a pool, and they get officers to manage that money. So tell me why people will not pay for the money.
Now, when okay, this is done, but the situation on ground is where the people who are supposed to be policing this monies, who are supposed to be monitoring this, or looking for those who are stealing the monies, are also stealing. How does that help?
The thing is, let me tell you something. There is no, you see, even if you bring a white man here, he will do the same thing, but he won't do that same thing in his country. You know why? Because the levels of checks and balances there, we call them anti-corruption tools that are there, horizontal accountability tools, will ensure that there's about 90% of you being caught And when you are caught, sanctions will certainly apply. But in our place here, the only horizontal tool that is operational in this thing is the what do you call this thing now? The Money Laundering Act. If you want to lodge some amount of money that is above 5 million as an individual, the bank manager must write or must inform the EFCC.
Okay, sorry to cut you there, but
yes.
in this case now, we hear there are several accounts linked to several people. The bank managers apparently did not write.
These are the things we're talking about. You find out these days that some manager will even advise you, go and break down the sums of money before you come to lodge, because I'm obliged to write. If you, as a corporate body, is coming to lodge more than 10 million here, I'm supposed to write. EFCC is supposed to check out what you do, how you get the money. But look at what is happening. The EFCC members are part and parcel of the maintenance team. ICPC members were part and parcel of the maintenance team. And they've been said to have been compromised in the process. Okay, so the question is, that's why I said that coercive tools will always fail.
But do you think that this is corruption fighting back? Because, I mean, there had been a host of revelations from Maynard's team, even before, all those counter-accusations came about the police pension reforms. I mean, he was also able to open a can of worms about what was going on in the pension civil service scheme. So, do you think that this could actually be corruption fighting back?
Yes, plus or minus is for the benefit of the country. Maynard met 141,000, some few hundreds pension nominal list there, was able to prove that the actual number is about 70,000 and a little, reducing 1.3 billion monthly to about 800 something million or something monthly, which was a good work. But haven't done all that.
And he also revealed a host of other scams that were going on. For instance, the racket that was going on with the banks. Some bank managers were actually involved. They were helping people open up accounts with fictitious names, and were paying monies into those accounts. So apparently, he would have made some enemies, and he would have stepped on toes. Do you think that this is just an act or a ploy to get him in such a way that, in this particular matter now, it would be hard for him to extricate himself?
You see, if Maynard is innocent, there will be no problem. There will be no. You can't. It will probably. It definitely will come out clean. But the way it is, he was able to open some can of worms. We're happy about that. It was a good thing that he did. But in the process, he put his hand right inside it. Except that, maybe somewhere along the line he's able to come out clean, which I doubt so much. I doubt that so much from the thing that we're seeing. So, if you are dirty as the people that you taking to clean up, what's the difference? That's all we're saying. So, whether they're trying to fight back or he's trying to fight them, the point is that the information that will come to the ordinary Nigerian is coming. But the major question is, what is going to come out of all this? What's going to come out of all this? The institution that is supposed to now investigate, take them to court and all that, is right in the middle of the mess.
And if they find out that one of theirs is eventually guilty, who knows what will happen?
And you can see the name that is being mentioned right now. That name is currently at the headship of the EFCC. So, I don't know. See, but let me tell you something. There is no democratic problem that is beyond solution, because at the end of the day, it is the civil society that put those people there. Remember what happened during the time of our late president was ill, and some people were there trying to carve off his, taking money and all that. At the end of the day, it was civil society that solved that problem. During the fuel subsidy thing, it was civil society. You see, this is a system. The problem is that the civil society in Nigeria also go cap in hand to this same group of persons to beg for money. Otherwise, in a proper climb, as it is now, you will find out that message will be going across in that sector, civil society sector. Before you know it, you will find about 100, 200 men outside that place holding placards demanding what they think should be done.
No, but the question would be, I mean, wouldn't that be like medicine after death? Considering the fact that the Senate already took this upon itself to set up a probe panel, there was something actually going wrong before the Senate decided to set up a panel to do a public hearing in this particular instance. Would you say that they were being proactive, or do you suspect any ulterior motives with the setting up of this panel?
There's no proactivity there. Everything they are doing is reactive. It has happened, and they are reacting to exactly what happened. To be proactive is to not to let the problem to occur at all in the first place, which was the first solution that I prefer. And these persons, you see, the whole log of the whistleblowing policy, the whistleblowing policy we have in the country today, what is preferred in the civil service code is good, the spirit is there, but the people don't practice it. So I'm saying, let us reinvent that wheel. Because a staff-friendly whistleblowing policy will give almost 80% of the right to the staff. Let me tell you, there are people that are in there that want to talk about it. Look at the policeman who spilled the entire bins. You have lots of them like that. You have the kind of EFCC man who have refused 4.2 million to come into his account.
Mr. Richards, sorry.
But the thing is, if they blow the whistle will blow them out. You know why? Because the policy is not staff-friendly.
Mr. Richards, don't you think that we as a public were too quick to believe someone's statements? It's like, let me give an instance now. When the policeman came out to give his testimony against Mr. Mena, who's supposed to be the chairman of the task force, it was very blatant, and it was everybody seemed to have taken his testimony on face value. But if you also look at the testimony of the finance minister, who said that with the biometric verification exercise that was done in the police pension scheme, you find out that they were able to save over 100 million per month.
Yes.
That instead of them to be paying 1.5 billion, they only needed to be paying 500 million.
Yes.
Where was that 1 billion naira extra going to? You do not think that those kind of people could actually cook up something?
Look, if there are things that are being cooked up,
yes,
you would know. Now, there's an account that belonged to the younger brother, who is alive, who was called and they spoke, who refused that his signature should be removed from. So how are they going to cook that up? The bank is existing. The staff of the bank is in existence. Now, you just heard him when he said that the 240 million for that capture of 20 people outside the shore of the country was approved by the... So, where is the cooking up coming from?
We didn't hear him answer that particular question. I think it was asked about...
They asked him,
if they approved,
approved?
Did he approve the journey? And he was dilly-dallying, with the answer to that particular question.
Now,
obviously, a host
where
of
do you
things
think that money came from?
To make matters worse, these are funds for the elderly.
It's very confusing. You almost don't know which side
you
of the
see
story
them
to
when
believe.
they come for this verification. Some drop dead.
Yeah.
Some, you watch them on television, you see the kind of people whose money is being treated like this. So,
but you talked about what will happen at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And this is the question that a lot of Nigerians also ask. And on the scale of 1 to 10, 8 or 9 times out of 10, we don't get to hear a logical conclusion. Now is speculative. We hear, hope we'll prove wrong, that this matter, this committee hearing may be done behind closed doors, because maybe some pressure might be coming from who knows where. But then, that cannot be allowed to happen. This is a matter of public interest, and as such, we have to get to the conclusion of this entire matter. Do you see that happening, by the way?
How would you stop that from happening? There's only one way you can stop that from happening, and that's getting civil society involved.
Well, is there any argument for holding that kind of hearing behind closed doors? I mean, don't you think that the public should actually be allowed to see what is going on in this particular sector?
Public service.
Yes.
The information is public information.
Yes.
All right? Except it is for the good, the common good. Except holding it behind closed doors is for the common good.
Do you think it could be for the common good?
I don't think so. What I suspect, by my training, is the fact that some higher names may be propping up that might completely embarrass the polity. So for that, and that's not for the common good, because for the common good, those names, even if it's the name of the president, should be mentioned. That's the common good. So apart from that, you can't say it's for the common good.